Hello guys, welcome to CoderCrab. So today we'll see a very common topic and very essential topic for interview perspective, that is scope in JavaScript, scope chain in JavaScript, lexical scope in JavaScript, and most importantly closure in JavaScript. Okay, so let's see. So let's have a pretty simple function which will be doing some calculation, and we will calculate any random thing, right? So let's write. So let's say I'll just write a function here, function calculate, right? So let's put function calculate. Okay, so I have this function. Okay, so in this function, uh, let's say I'll take a parameter. Let's say this parameter is some value, so v. Okay, so inside this I'll have another function calculate, let's say inner, and I'll take a inner variable, so I'll name it iv. Okay, inner variable. So inside this, what I'm going to do return is return the variable into iv. Okay, so that's how it is. If somebody calls the calculate function, then it will return calculate inner. Okay, that means it will return this whole function. Okay, that is being enclosed. So by definition, if we'll go for a closure, you will see it will be written like something where the its scope and some resources as well as your function definition is being embedded or is being sent to a variable and something, right? So this is how it is. So we are basically returning the whole inner function when somebody will call it. So let's see how we can call this. So let's say I have a variable called result calculate equals to, I'll call the calculate function by passing a value as, let's say, 1.8. Okay, so I'm passing some value to this calculate function, and this calculate function would be returning this whole function to, and that would be stored here. So now if I want to calculate the inner thing, what I'll do, I'll just write a call the rescal, okay, with a value which is, let's say, 5. So this 5 would be coming here and the calculation will happen. Let's see, console.log, then this is the result, right? So let's run this. Okay, so we are seeing something here. Let's go to the console, 9, right? So 5 into this 1.8 into 5 has happened, and this. So if we'll do more like this, like if I'll calculate more, I'll just take, let's say, 10, it becomes 18, right? Fair enough. So now how would we know that the first thing what has happened here? Okay, so when we will call the calculate, what will happen, it will return this particular function. Okay, so let's see if I'll print rescal. Okay, let me print the rescal value. Okay, see, you are getting the function, right? So this is a reference function, is a variable, right? Now it is coming. So okay, so let's comment it out now. Okay, so now when we have called this with this 5, by that time calling this function was finished. Okay, now the question is, when we are calling the rescal, it is calling this function, right? As calculate returned the whole function, this is getting called. But if you will see, it doesn't have the v, right? It doesn't have it. So then how did it calculate it, right? Here comes the closure thing. So basically what has happened, when we called this calculate inner, it tried to find these two variables in its local scope, but it found iv in its local scope. That is fair enough, right? Now it started searching for v, but it didn't get it. So what it will do, it will go for the parent scope. right? So it will go for the parent scope here. Now when it came here, this process going to the parent scope, so inner function is going to the parent, then if it didn't find the variable there, it will go to its parent, it will keep on going, okay, till it finds the complete first parent, right? So this particular thing is called scope chain, okay? So scope is your local scope, and when the function doesn't find a resource or a variable, it goes to its parent function. Then that is called scope chain, right? Now we are clear that what is scope chain. Now, what is lexical scope? Okay. So if we'll consider this variable, okay, so what is the lexical scope of this variable? The lexical scope of this variable is where it is defined. Okay, so it is defined inside this function, right? So then the lexical scope of this function, this variable, would be from here to here. Okay, so if I'll do something here, console.log, and I'll put v, see, v is not defined, right? Because it is not there, right? So if something is defined here, let's say const something b equals to something, right? So if I'll print this inside here, okay, inside here, if I'll print it also, it will find it. Okay, so let's see. Okay, clear? It is able to find that because this variable's lexical scope is global. Okay, this variable's lexical scope is this particular inner function scope. This variable's lexical scope is this particular function scope, right? So wherever you have defined the variable, it is its lexical scope. Now coming to the closure. So if let's see the closure in action itself, right? When we called, let's remove this part. Okay, so when we tried to call the inner function, by that time the calculate operation was done, right? So the 1.8 variable was there in underscore v, and that was stored in closure. Okay, that was in the closure. Okay, so that all the inner functions can access that. So let's see that in action. Let's go to the source. I'll just put a breakpoint somewhere here. Then let's run it. Okay, so now you can see that it has come to this line, and here you can see that closure has the v value as 1.8. Okay, so now this v value is present in the closure for any action which will be carried out by the inner functions. Okay, by any inner functions inside this. If you are having another function, that will also can get the v value. Okay, but if now after this, if you want to print the v value, okay, will you be able to? Let's see. Okay, so let's move the breakpoint, run it, and see. No, you can't, because your v's lexical scope is here to here, and you are trying to put it outside, which it will not allow, right? So that's how it is. So closure means your parent scopes, your scope, your parent scope, parent's parent scope. So all these resources, when being utilized by a inner function, and that is the time where you are using a closure. But knowingly or unknowingly, you have 100% utilized closure, but this is how closure works. Thanks.